So welcome. This is the first rigging video on a series to Channel 19 Fishing. First off, since springtime's coming up, a lot of you guys do this shit for Wahoo too. We're gonna run and rig some Ballyhoo, guys. Super easy. I know you guys have probably watched 1,000 videos on all this copper wire and like springs and all this other random BS, trying to keep it PG-13 here. It's just not needed, straight up. Anybody who rigs copper wire with Ballyhoo, I don't know what to tell you. So let's just dive right into it here, guys. I've got like 8 feet of 130-pound mono. Of course, switch that out for wire, depending on your target species. So what I'm going to do, unravel it here. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to crimp this on. So first thing I'm going to do is crimp this on here, and
what's that?
So this here.
So you got swivel on there?
Yeah, I just got a basic crock, probably 200-pound swivel, little Bill Fisher's crimp here. How to properly crimp. A lot of people end up doing some shit like this, and as many of us know, that's how you lose fish, straight up. You're going to want, I know this is a 1.3 crimp, so I'm going to use the second in here, second indent in my crimpers.
They marked on there?
And it is marked on the crimper, so you will know. You want to leave a lip in between your crimps here. If you crimp on either side and you force it down, you're just going to be damaging the mono, and it's going to be useless. So go ahead, give it a decent amount of force when you're ready. And that's what you should end up with. A little bit off on one side, but as you can see, there's a little bit of a collar in there. You'll be fine. So once you've crimped your swivel on there, I find it easier to crimp the swivel first. That way I'm doing all my rigging kind of in a row. So you're coming from your main line, you got your swivel. Then you come to your lure. You can use literally any lure you like to use. For instance, this is a 3/8 ounce sea witch. I use these because they're super cheap, and if you're around the fish, they're simply just going to eat this. White and blue, because let's be real, white and blue is the shit. So we're going to stick it through here. You always want to go on the sea witches. I've noticed this mistake a lot. You want the hair to be sticking towards your swivel. The reason for that being, it's going to come back and it just add a lot more action to your lure. So we're going to just kind of deal with this guy. We're going to throw him up on the other side there. Alright, so the next step here, once you've added your lure and your swivel, you're going to take one crimp, slide it up, kind of not forget about it, but just leave it up there. Take a 3/8 ounce egg weight. You can use like a quarter or something. 3/8 ounces are traditional. Just kind of depends on your style. Slide that guy up there. And then you slide another crimp on your line. Then you take your 7/7/31 DT mustad. Just like you would crimp anything else. So at this point, you should have your crimp, your weight, your crimp, and your 8/0. So what you want to do is then go through your first crimp here. I like to leave myself plenty of tag when I do this. It's just a huge, benefit, the overall cause here. Gonna want to run it through your second crimp. And for the record, this is 125 mono. Normally I would do this in like say an 80, but I'm doing it in 125 just because we're kind of sitting in the middle of Wahoo season here. Might help with a little bit of toothy action if you decide to pull Ballyhoo. But most of the time this year, I'm going to use what they call this this killer rig. You know, if I'm just pulling Ballyhoo, it's say anywhere from 6 to 8 knots. I prefer this because it removes your need for a double hook, but we'll get into that later. So that's essentially what it should look like right off the bat. Now once I've decided, alright, this is going to be the way that I'm going to Ballyhoo, I'm going to take this L-shaped piece of wire. I'm going to take this L-shaped piece of wire and I'm going to stick it in between the first crimp and the mono here. Alright, so we're halfway through our Ballyhoo rig here. We've got everything where we want it to be. Now the deal is to crimp it. Same thing as before. Going to go back to the second set on our Bill Fisher crimpers. $24.99 at your local West Marine. You're welcome, guys. Alright, so now we've got our crimp done. I'm going to go up to our second guy here. Same thing. So there you go, guys. That's your first Ballyhoo rig and you're done. Literally super simple. As far as actually rigging the fish, we're going to go over that later, but this is our first one we're going to do in the next video. Actually, wait, one quick tip. So before you do this, you notice that you've got just thread holding your sea witch on. Well, what you do is you come off with this stainless wire. This is Pacific Trading. It's the middle gauge they make. I don't know the exact gauge on it. I know the skew for it is like 2038 or something. You can come across with it. I'm going to take a piece, cut a small piece off, and I'm just going to wrap it around the bulk of this thread. And a lot of you guys are probably wondering, like, what is the point of that? The point, straight up, yeah, you're going to have a hard time if you hook a toothy fish on this rig, given the mono, but you're not going to ruin your sea witch at this point. You'll still be able to reuse it when you wrap that stainless wire around. He's just going to bite the cable instead of the thread. So there you go. All said and done, you got one Ballyhoo rig. I mean, this is good for as long as the mono stays good. Be sure to keep your hook sharp. That is one bad thing about these mustads, is they kind of dull out quick. But you know, keep them sharp. Hook sharpener will do the job more than sufficient. All right. So the next rig we're going to go over is really meant to be more of a slower trolled rig. As I did the last one on 130 mono, I'm going to do this one on just regular 60. This rig's really good to about 4 or 5 knots. So if you kind of come into a bunch of fish and you just need to retie a rig like really quick, this is kind of the one that I would go with. So as I said, 60-pound mono here. Got another 8/0 hook here. The next interesting part about this is we're going to be using a sort of stainless wire. It's really, I don't know if it's intended to be used as fishing wire or what, but what you're going to do is you're going to come through the eye of the hook here, leave this attached. A lot of people try to cut this and it just leads to issues. So go ahead and wrap it once, twice, 3, 4, and 5. That's all you need. So go ahead, take any sort of cutters. It's important that you go through the top here on this one, just like that. And we're going to take our pair of pliers here. We're going to take our pair of pliers here and kind of twist that tag back up.
Get it flush.
We're then going to, yeah, kind of just get it flush, just like that. Then we're going to take our pliers and just on the shaft of the hook here, we're going to take it, we're going to take our pliers here, kind of force our way down. We're gonna just kind of gradually work this tight to the point where essentially this is kind of rough, but I've already made one up here. This is what we really want it to look like. And what we're going to do off of that, this is like, honestly, I run this rig, I don't crimp it. I take a piece of mono, just like that. And I just do a basic uni knot in it. So we're going to make it double up and loop inside 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Always wet your knots down. If you don't, burn the monofilament, lose a lot more breaking strength than say your 20-30%, whatever the figure is. Come off. Trim your tag. And here's kind of a little insider secret here. So you get these Moldcraft soft heads. You take that skirt out.
Find those anywhere, right?
Buy those at your local West Marine.
How much line do you have there?
See, for demonstration purposes, I shortened up this leader to about 4 or 5 feet. This would be great for small dolphin, stuff along that lines. Nothing too huge. If you were using, say, some of the bigger Moldcraft heads, I would definitely jump it up a little bit as far as length and leader. You're gonna take then your Moldcraft head, and you're gonna pretty much cut it all off. So yeah, you just took your $11 lure, well, at West Marine anyway, $4 pretty much anywhere else, but I didn't tell you that. Gonna take this, take it on your swivel, do the same uni knot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like that. I mean, super easy Ballyhoo rig. We'll show you how to rig this up with a fish later. And the whole purpose behind using this head is essentially you're covering up your rigging. Whether or not that matters, that's up to you. It also gives you the nice little popper action going on. Like I said, this rig isn't as good in speed, given that it's not as heavy. So we'll finish this guy up. Little hook saver we got down here. Remove all these little bullshits. As far as Northeast Florida goes, we have a hell of a walking fishery, especially this time of year, which is say winter time. And a lot of people double hook their ballyhoo. I don't necessarily like to double hook my ballyhoo, simply because they don't swim as well. Sure, the tail will kick on them, but the rig I'm about to show you is more or less a halfway in between a double hook and a single hook. You still get the hook further back, but it's not quite as limiting as say the double hook rig. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our swivel. We're going to go on a piece of wire here. This is number 6 just for demonstration purposes. I would highly recommend a number 10 or a 12 for doing this. So we're going to take it, we're going to haywire. We're going to keep haywiring, honestly, kind of as long as we can. If this one turns out shitty, I'm going to use the demonstration one that I've already got worked up. Then I'm going to start my barrel wraps, and I'm honestly going to do them way longer than you should. We're going to keep going here, keep going. Yeah, this looks ridiculous. I get it. If somebody would have done this on a haywire twist, I would be leaving all sorts of weird comments and definitely questioning whether or not this dude knew what he's doing. But I promise this is some good shit. So we're gonna go ahead, bend, and break our tag off. Just like you would anything else. Take your hook. We're going to take our 7731 DT80 Mustad, and we're going to continue to haywire as far up this as we can. Yes, again, I understand, looks ridiculous, doesn't matter. Looks can be deceiving, as we all found out with that girl, one girl in high school or college.
If it works, it works.
It's all pink on the inside, folks.
Oh, Jesus. Do we thumbs down that, or do we?
I think we thumbs up that.
Okay.
So we're going to keep going. Yes, I know, ugliest haywire in the world. Doesn't matter because it'll hold. Continually, continually, continually. Continually going. Ugliest killer rig on the face of the earth. Yeah, by the way, this name is the killer rig for this rig. Letting you know it is sufficiently killer.
Killer rig. Pizza Mackie?
Continually wrapping. Continually wrapping. Continually wrapping. And wrapping, and wrapping, and wrapping, and wrapping. Alright, this is close enough. I'll show you what it should look like. Alright, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take a pre-cut section of wire. This is number 6. So I'm actually going to end up, instead of using that killer rig that I made before, we're just going to go ahead and use the one that I already had made up. You can totally see the difference as far as how tight it is. So we're going to go ahead and use this guy right here. We're again going to take it here and we're going to haywire twist. If you want to learn more about how to do this haywire twist video, we're going to have a video coming out very shortly on how to make kingfish rigs. I will go over thoroughly on how to make said haywire twist. So bam, once we got that there, that's quite literally all we need. So this is number 12, number 10 wire in practice. I've got main coming off here. That is number 6. Reason we do that is you get hit by a toothy critter, you're on number 12. You get hit above the head of the ballyhoo, you're still going to be able to catch that fish. Easy enough.
What are you going to catch on that one more time?
So the main purpose, say behind this killer rig, you're going to catch all your toothy critters, say a wahoo, barracuda. You know, you still got a shot at a sail, anything else, blue water, dolphin. Really the purpose behind this rig is to remove the double hook. This will swim a little bit better than a double hook. It's really kind of halfway in between, say, a double hook and a single hook. Your hook still gets far enough back where you can hook a lot of those short striking fish, but you're not running 2 hooks in there to put more terminal tackle in the water. So here we go. We've got our rigs completely made on really any Ballyhoo rig that you'd want to ever make, honestly. I'm going to get this ready here. It's still a little bit of a messy process to be doing inside the house. So here we've got the first rig we made with the sea witch on it. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our Ballyhoo here. We're going to kind of limber them up a little bit. These are pre-thawed. Don't try to do this while they're frozen. You're just going to wreck the Ballyhoo. So what I try to do is try to bend them up a little bit, and that gets that tail moving pretty good. A lot of them come frozen with the tail down like that. Try to come in, just make it look a little bit like it's alive. First thing you do here, so you've got your bill. What you want to do is you want to break this, and you want to tear back. See how this little piece of meat right here comes off? Well, that allows a really natural groove for the leader to kind of slide in and out of. So we're going to take said hook, we're going to go inside the gill plate here. We're going to come down. And then we're going to stick through both jaws with that piece of wire that we left on. Sometimes you'll need to seat it back in the Ballyhoo. Come up through the top. You're going to want to kind of tuck it in. So you want to come out as straight as you can. There's like a little sweet spot in these Ballyhoo. There we go. And at that point, I'm going to take our rubber band. First we got to trim this because it's a new rig. You kind of got it here. Trim it. Gonna take it, and we're gonna wrap one time behind the spike that we have. Make a figure 8. That is fucking ugly. And there you go. Just like that. Looks a little crooked on this guy because we came out not as straight as we could have, but we're going to slide sea witch back. And essentially that's going to be the easiest Ballyhoo rig you're ever going to see. Now we're going to do this killer rig deal. So coming off here, this is again the one that's going to be halfway between, say, a double hook and a single hook. So again, I've got my Ballyhoo here. I'm going to limber him up. I'm going to take his tail. Going to kind of break it and point his fin up, say as if it would be naturally. So you got your Ballyhoo. Again, break his bill. Don't break it too far down. Like that's a big mistake a lot of people make. And then rip it to where you got that piece of meat coming down. Again, that's for the leader to slide up in there more natural. Now with this killer rig, you're going to come in between his gill, just like you would anything else. But you're really, really, really going to want to thread this hook down a little bit further. Again, seat your hook right. Just like that. See how far back that single hook sits? See how far back that hook sits? Compared to a double hook, If a fish hits it up here, he's still gonna get hooked. I'm sorry, if you're going 8 knots, he's still gonna get that hook. All right, so we've got our killer rig rigged up here, and you can tell why it's killer. That hook's sitting so far back, you don't need to use a double hook, and it's gonna swim way better than, say, a regular double hook. We're gonna take our rubber band, the same rigging with the rubber band. Once around, up, and over, just like that. Now, a lot of people use the say, the little springs. It's not worth it. This is so much more natural looking bait than, say, your springs. All right, so we're gonna do our last Ballyhoo rig here. Again, we're gonna limber him up. We're gonna break that tail. It's gonna allow the tail to flip real normal. Take his beak, tear down with that piece of meat. Take our hook. Now this is, again, the super quick method. If the fish were just everywhere jumping in the boat and I needed a rig to get in the water, period, this is what I'd be doing. Again, very basic hook set here, and this is actually going to swim the best out of all of them. Again, stick that little wire pin through his jaws. We're going to take our little last rubber band here. We're going to take it, our rubber band, we're going to go around, do a figure 8. Bam. That is a rigged Ballyhoo. Easy. The whole reason I added, say, this soft head is it's going to cover up all of my rigging, and it's going to add that whole popper face deal to it. Plus, a little googly eyes. Never hurts, right? All right, guys. Well, that was a first solid Tackle Mondays, because, you know, who's got time to wait till Tuesdays? We're gonna next week. We're gonna go over king mackerel rigs. Probably the week after that, I'll go over some high-speed wahoo stuff. And then from then on out, it's really gonna be just kind of as I'm learning. It's really the whole deal of this game is consistently learning, and, you know, hopefully you guys will stay tuned and we'll check it out. See you guys.